And first, I want to introduce Sheriff John Singleton, Lee County Sheriff. Oh, I'm sorry, Simonton. I knew I was going to do that too. I do want to apologize. I'm sure you can understand. It's been a long week. And when I get tired, my tongue just doesn't want to work anymore. So the words just don't come out, but I appreciate you being patient and understanding it. Sheriff John.
Good afternoon. In the next day or week or so, if you got an opportunity, give this young lady a hug.
Yes.
They've had a hell of a week, and they've made some very complex decisions here that impacted everybody in this room and everybody in this resort. And they had a lot of recommendations from us to make those decisions. There were some difficult decisions along the way, but I applaud their efforts. I know Jeff couldn't be here today. You know, part of the reason is he had some health concerns that are private to him, but this is a stressful week, and it's impacted all of us, and it's impacted you as well. We understand that. And we appreciate your patience, we really do. I won't rehash what Karen talked about up on the board, but I do want to mention a couple things. I've been in this business next month for 34 years, and that doesn't mean I'm an expert in anything. It just means I've experienced a few things, and I've had the luxury in this career of working throughout the nation, not just in the state, on large-scale incidents such as this. And I can tell you, beyond a doubt, that in Illinois, we have the most robust and dedicated and passionate mutual aid system in the nation. And it's part of the reason is because of those guys out there. When we talk about mutual aid, it's fire services, EMS, police services that come to respond to incidents like this without regard to jurisdiction. We just come to help because we know some citizens in Illinois need our help, and we're going to be there at a moment's notice, and we're going to be there as long as we need to be. Karen alluded to her lack of sleep. I don't think anybody slept well this week at all, and if we did get home, we got home for about 3 hours, put our head down for a little bit, put a new uniform on, and back to work. If some of you like hockey, that can kind of assimilate to a hockey game where you see the players coming over the edge for 2 or 3 minutes at a time and going 110 mile an hour chasing the puck around, and the coach is in the booth there waiting and giving the assignments for his players to go out on the next shift. Well, I can tell you that when our workers went out, boots on the ground, they were going 110 mile an hour every day of the week for whatever shift, length of shift they were working. But the coaches over here stayed all week long, from Monday night till today. And I can't tell you enough how important that was to have that unified command structure in place throughout the entire week. And because of that, you're here today, and you're able to visit your recreational vehicles, your park model homes. And we were really hoping we could open it when we did, but we didn't know until Friday about noon how that was going to happen. Part of how that happened was the wow factor Tuesday morning when we all saw this in the daylight. Because when we got here Monday night, it was extremely dark and extremely chaotic. And as the sun started to rise that next day and we saw what we had in front of us, we just kind of looked at it and go, now what do we do? And of course our life safety objectives were always there. And that's what we were working on as first responders. However, we needed a plan to start moving some of the brush out of the roadway so we could get to some of the affected areas by using some of our vehicles. The guy up here in the front row, Greg, stand up, Greg, he's the one that helped devise a plan to get you to your house. So the unified command structure really worked, and we had a lot of key stakeholders in that decision-making process. The other thing that I'd like to mention is I saw it up in Ogle County, and I saw it in some other disasters in Illinois. The resiliency of the Illinois citizens is amazing. It is simply amazing. They had a tornado up there, as you know, a couple months ago, and people are already moving back into their homes. And they helped their neighbors clean up, and their recovery system was just amazing. I was real nervous Monday night when I went to bed. slept for maybe a couple hours, and I was nervous and concerned about what the impact was going to be that next morning when everybody came in. And I was really hoping that, even though you saw the pictures on Facebook and you've seen the destruction, obviously you know today, pictures just don't do it justice. And I knew there was frustration out there, and we really wanted to do our best from our standpoint to bring you in and show you some of the hazards and make sure you got to your places safely, and hopefully have a seamless transition into your homes. And so I told the deputies, I told all the law enforcement officers that were here that day, be compassionate, be understanding. These people are frustrated they lost their homes. We need to understand that from our perspective. About 7:30, just before we opened the gates, there was a group of people over at the bar, and I don't know, there were 40, 50 people, and I decided to walk over and I'm gonna gauge the temperature of what's gonna happen. Started to explain a little bit about what occurred and what we're gonna do today by getting everybody in as quickly as we could. And the response was just overwhelming. I had a smile on my face when I got done because everybody was saying, good morning, thank you very much for your efforts, I really appreciate it. There was just one gentleman that spoke up about possibly the lack of information that came out through the week, and I do apologize for that. We tried to start that as early as we could so that you know what was going on a daily basis, and as time went on, I think we did a better job of that. We'll do a better job next time. That's one of those things that we have to take a look at. But I also noted the response. Yeah, let's hope about that next time. God, we've had enough of these, haven't we? But I noticed a response from about 3/4 of the other crowd that talked to that gentleman and said, no, we've got all the information we needed. They were doing a good job. So I kind of backed away at that point. But then as all the residents started coming in, and people had their windows down, they're saying, good morning, thank you very much for what you did. And it was just a great response. And again, it just renewed my faith in the resiliency of our citizens in Illinois. You're doing a really good job of taking this all in. And when I said good afternoon when I first started off, you're looking at me and going, Sheriff, really? Is it a good afternoon? Why are you saying that? Well, the good part of that is that you're all here. You're all alive. We did not lose one citizen. Now, we had some injuries, but we did not lose one. The impact of this on a holiday weekend would have been devastating. We are all here to talk about this. So I do appreciate your patience, I really do. I'm going to be here periodically for the next several weeks, months, off and on, because I'm going to see what the rebuilding structure is going to look like. You have a good long-range plan that's going to be put into place. I know Karen and Jeff have been working on that very hard with a lot of other executives here in your board from Woodhaven Lakes, who are just a great group of people. They really are. And before I leave, there's one of our gentlemen that's did a wonderful job. Woodhaven Lakes, by the way, their hospitality has been just outstanding while we've been here this week. But your chief over here deserves a round of applause as well for his public safety efforts. So again, if there's anything we can do, we're going to be around, and I do appreciate your patience, and good luck in the future. I know you're going to work together as neighbors to try to rebuild this. You need to. It's a beautiful place. It really is. Thank you.
Actually, at this time, I would like to introduce your Sublette Fire Department personnel who were here and have been here 24/7. Chief Urbis, Assistant Chief Kevin Schultz. Come up here, please. And let's do Absolutely. And I would like for them to share from their perspective. They've been a part of our Woodhaven family since day one. They're all from this area. So I'm going to hand this over to Chief Urbis.
Thank you, Karen. I'm going to be honest with you. I've got some other people I've got to give big credit to. Monday night when this thing happened, I was happened to be up in northern Wisconsin on a family vacation, and we just had gotten up there just prior to that. So I I actually come back to be with Woodhaven this week. Some part of my family stayed up there and part of us come back. So with that being said, we were here all week. There's been hours and hours put in by these people. Search and rescue efforts. They did an awesome job. I got to give great credit to Nick Dingus, my assistant chief, Kevin Schultz, and our staff for doing what they did in the district time. Getting out there at night had to be terrible. Being dark out there, no electricity. We've got certain landmarks that we go by all the time out there. Them landmarks were gone. You can see what we were dealing with out there. If anybody's been out and drove around, all the trees, you didn't know if you were on a road, if you were on a lot, if you could get to any of them. It was just total chaos out there trying to search through all these properties. By Tuesday night at 10:30, I think I got here at 1:30 on Tuesday. By 10:30 on Tuesday night, we had search and rescue efforts all done 3 times. Most of the properties seen search and rescue efforts on it 3 times to make sure we had everybody covered. Fantastic job, guys. Some of the problems we were facing through the week, we had a lot of electrical issues. The power grid, through them sections 22, 23, and 25 that were heavily damaged. In order to power up the grid work for some of your non-affected areas north of that, we had to get the bad lots and all that stuff energized also. So we've also went into a lot of them sections, disconnected a lot of them pedestals, so we were able to do that to get most of Woodhaven up and running with electricity again. With that being said, we had trees, debris. We worked with Greg. We got a plan. I'm telling you guys, it was just stress all week. It was not an easy situation. One thing I do want to tell you guys, if you go out there and look around at the comfort stations, not a one of them were damaged. So where are you going to go the next storm? That saves lives. Other than that, I just want to thank the staff. I want to thank Rick, Greg, Kevin Lally, just anybody, Karen and Jeff working together. How many meetings did we sit in together? We had to sit down, get a plan, and try to make the best decision we can for you. But one thing I do ask, they're asking you to please try to stay away. Please listen to them, because we need to get the rest of these roads cleaned up to try to get you guys going again for the 4th of July weekend. When I first come out here and looked, I didn't think there was any possible way we're going to be able to have anybody out there before the 4th of July, but we were able to put all our heads together and get to work and get you out here this weekend.
Just a few quick comments. I was one of the first ones here, and yes, we're not letting Chief go on vacation anymore. That's done. That's not happening anymore, Chief. Sorry. Our unified command, Sheriff Simonton, Karen Roach, myself, and Kevin Lally, our local Lee County Emergency Management, we're part of the command team in there. I can tell you absolutely that Karen Roach, as far as trying to deal with what is best for the property owners, there was second to none. I want you all to know that you did a fabulous job. The sheriff and Kevin have obviously been through some of these incidents before. Kevin Lally went up to Ogle County when Fairdale was hit up there. I think he learned a lot of valuable information, and when I saw him show up on Monday night about 10 o'clock, I knew things were going to get better real quick, because he's the guy with all the access to all of our people that we needed. This guy right next to me here, Nick Dingus, he took over the operations command. Did a fabulous job. We've got one other lieutenant, wasn't here right now today, Brian Dallin. He also took over our tactical rescue teams. and our engines and ambulances. I can tell you undoubtedly this is one of the proudest moments, seeing these guys step up and do what they had to do. So I've been out here 31 years. I've worked on some of you people's properties before. I used to work out here, and I just know that it's going to get better.
Thank you, Kevin. Like Kevin said, I'm Nick Dingus. I've been with the Flood Fire Department for going on 19 years, on and off. I did being in this business for 19 years. I don't have as much experience as some of these guys do, but I've also been with the city of Rockford as a fireman and paramedic, and also the city of Macomb. I can tell you from having the initial incident command and the operational side of things, this was one of the most overwhelming and humbling things I've ever been part of. The support we got, not only from our local people, I think we emptied out, every person in our department, which is 26 people. Amboy was there from the beginning. They had about 40 responders on site. And from that response, we were dealing with not just here, guys, but we had 3 tornadoes on the ground in our county and 1 in Mendota. Some of the mutual aid resources that we reach out to immediately weren't able to respond. So we were faced with those challenges as well. We reached out to Kevin Lally immediately. Kevin was the chief of Dixon Rural. He's going to speak here in a minute. And he is. It was just very comforting to know he was on the way. Sheriff is the same thing. We reached out to him. Greg Demming, I know Greg's already stood up. But we had a lot of resources locally come and a lot of volunteers, guys. We needed heavy equipment, as you guys saw. That came within 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Those folks were on scene. Some called for, some not called for. And we needed that to get to the locations we were at. We had 7 initial reports of people trapped in trailers, 1 person trapped in a car, a diabetic emergency, gas leaks, like 12 or 15 calls going on at the same time. And without the help and the assistance that we received from our whole county, outside of our county, interdivisionally, from our mutual aid partners, we never would have been able to accomplish the things we did. One other person in the back, Greg Boston, if Greg will raise his hand. He's a lieutenant on Sublette. He was our engine company officer that night. We knew how bad it was when I would call to these guys and say, where are you at? And we'd get a PAR report or accountability report, and they'd only gone maybe 200 or 300 yards. To me, that was hard to believe. We set up our command post at the association office with no idea exactly how bad it was for our troops in the field. In some cases, it took guys 6 hours to reach 1 person. And I'm telling you, when I say 6 hours, I'm talking about the best of the best. People with 30, 35 years on in tree cutting, debris removal, and fire and rescue. And that's what it took, guys, to get some of these people out. If you see these people, give them a hug, because they truly, truly deserve their recognition. And I don't know if Bob Myrop's here from Section 11. I don't know if Bob's here. Bob also was a phenomenal resource. He's in Section 11, retired deputy chief of the Bolingbrook Fire Department. He was my resource all night. I had operations for the first 12 hours of our operational period, and without him, we wouldn't have been able to accomplish a lot of the things we got done. So again, I want to thank all of you. Again, I know there was a lot of frustration initially. Folks, this administration and the people you see here just did a phenomenal job, and it was always in your best interest. So thank you again.
Okay, we've made reference to Mr. Lally. It's time to bring him over here from Lee County. He's both Lee County ESDA and Lee County Emergency Management Agency. And we want you not to pay any attention to the rain, okay?
Hello, thank you. I think we've talked a lot about me already. I do have 33 years in the fire service. Went into emergency management for the county. I've been to a few incidents other than this one. I think Nick referred to Ogle County. A lot of lessons learned up there that I was able to bring back here and make your event better. What my job was resources and management. When Nick called and needed something, my job was to find that and get it to him. We went all the way from local fire departments all the way up to state assets. You see the big white command post sitting out there, that belongs to the state. We were able to get that to work out of, so we could work out an area that we could do planning and make sure everything was going safely forward. The other thing we got was Task Force 1. I think that was discussed earlier. Task Force 1 is a specialized rescue team. If you've ever seen around the world where there's an earthquake or there's disasters, they send task force in, maybe from Texas, from New York, from California. We had Illinois come out here. Okay, that is an unprecedented thing. That's the first time that task force has been deployed to Illinois. So we made history. So, in more than one way, a good way and a bad way, so. But my job was to help these guys along. They were the leaders, and all I was doing was feeding them things that they needed, making sure things had happened. Disaster declaration by the county board chairman signed that. That gave us access to state. So that's the kind of way it works. These guys are really the leaders and did a great job out in the field. All I did is I was on the backside supporting them. If you called my office in the last week, I'm sorry. I was unable to return your call. I've been here, so. But thank you very much. Please be safe out there. Please look up when you're walking around. A lot of debris still in the trees, and be careful. Listen to these great people. They've got your best interest at heart. So thank you again.
Okay, and just one more introduction, and this is to some, just a fraction of the unsung heroes, so to speak. So what I'm going to ask is for all of the staff who are in this room to step forward. Katie, from our marketing department, who was out Monday night. Randy, communications, marketing, Greg, Rich Barringer. Tim O'Loughlin was here. Is he still here? Okay. Tim is our coordinator for volunteer services, and he's out doing what he's doing. And there's so many of these people. Jeff and I were in meetings almost all the time, so we really weren't the ones doing anything other than trying to deflect all the balls that were being thrown at us. You got to do this, get that, and these are the ones who did the work. These people that I just mentioned, and the other ones in the office, and the ones at the maintenance building, the service center, the utilities, you name it, they did it. Those are the heroes. Along with the fire department, the emergency management. And there are two men in the back there with red vests on from the American Red Cross. They have been feeding all the people who have been helping here. Okay, now to get what you really want. We're going to try and do this in an organized manner as possible. For question and answer. Perhaps it would work better. Yesterday we tried this and arms were going up all over and it was very difficult. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Please get into a line here because there's only one mic. So what I'm going to do, person by person, ask the question. I am going to repeat the question so that everybody can hear it. And then someone will try and get you an answer, whether it's myself, Greg, Randy, Rick, who just left. He is everything. Okay, so if you have a question, please, if you could come to the center here. Oh, I know, yeah. It just takes the first one. Thank you.
When are they going to let us start bringing in utility trailers and stuff so we can start hauling some of this wood and crap out of here?
Okay, the question was, when are they going to start let us bring in utility trucks so that we can start hauling away some of this debris? Right now, our game plan is to get those areas that we currently have closed, restricted, open. We're trying to get to that, get it done by the weekend. So I would look to say the following week, but I'm always going to end this with, please keep posted with our Facebook page. We will make updates to that. If there's a change, we'll put it on the Facebook page website. Did I answer that question? Okay.
Since it has been declared a disaster area, there's still a lot of trees on property to come down. How much help can we expect monetarily from the state to defer the cost to the lot owners and to Woodhaven?
Okay, the question was, since it has been declared a county and state disaster area, how much help can we expect for disaster relief, so to speak? Mr. Lally, could you speak to that? The question they were asking, since it's been declared a disaster area for state and local, What kind of help can the campground owners expect getting some of this debris off their property?
We did declare a local disaster declaration. The state did declare Grundy and Lee counties a disaster area. That opens up those resources I talked about state. That the TRT teams we don't pay for. The USART team we don't pay for. That was $300,000 for the 12 hours they were here. So we don't pay for that. We did not meet the criteria for the federal government to get reimbursement for anything. Okay? It's not big enough. Now remember Washington, Illinois. They did not meet the criteria for the federal government. Okay? Now, I'm sure that since the governor was here, he's working on things, but again, in the position our state is, I can't tell you that anything's going to happen. So, but no, the criteria is high for a disaster. Okay, does that answer your question? I know it's not what you wanted to hear, but I need to be truthful with you.
Yes, sir.
Of course, the main issue is trees, and there's a lot of trees down, but if we get them cut down, will Woodhaven accept the debris?
Okay, the question was, obviously there's a lot of trees. What's the game plan for the property owner with regards to trees? I'm going to have Greg answer that. He wants to know if they get them cut down, are we going to remove them?
Okay, just a couple of quick things before I answer that question. As Karen alluded to, the tub grinder that we have is basically a key right now to the cleanup effort. When we were released to start work, we were hauling 400 to 500 loads per day to that tub grinder to process. That tub grinder will be back Monday, and we will continue the cleanup with the tub grinder. I also want to tell you that the contractor, Tom May, who owns Brad's Tree Service, is getting the material that is processed, and he will take that material. However, all we are paying is $300 per hour, which is the cost of the fuel. Normally, his apparatus is $800 an hour, so we're saving $500 an hour because he's getting the material. And the reason I'm explaining this is several questions were asked about what's going on, is that mulch for us, that type of thing. And also, how are we going to utilize the wood? Are we saving the logs? Well, in my opinion, we're utilizing the wood because it's not being burnt, but also it's saving the association $500 an hour. So with that being said, as long as that tub grinder's here, we're going to maximize its use. And I spent today walking around the sections where most of the damage occurred, getting feedback from people, looking at what they're doing, how they're making progress. And obviously the one thing that stood out was you guys are busting your backsides to get the tree debris cleaned up, and you're bringing it out to the front of the lot. I can't promise you anything for this week because the goal is to open up the 3 sections that remain closed. But after that, that will be one of my priorities, is to try to utilize teams to go out and get your brush picked up so you can continue with that work, because obviously you have to get the tree debris removed before you can start doing much of anything else. So continue to bring the brush to the front of the lot. Please don't put it on the road so it's a traffic obstruction, because if it becomes too serious, we will come out and push it back onto the lot. I'm not saying we're just going to just ramrod it all the way back, but we will get it off the road. But after getting these sections open, my goal will be is how can we get your brush picked up and how quick we can. So I promise you that'll be my focus after this week. Okay? Thank you.
When everything is done, will there be a total dollar value assigned that the loss of the association and the property owners, in other words, whatever millions or whatever, that would be done?
Okay, the question that was asked was, when this is all said and done, will there be a running sheet about the cost? All of it, thankfully she used the word millions. And yes, we'll be working to we're keeping tabs of that as best we can. And there are costs that we never imagined. But yes, we're doing the best we can.
Who should we contact if we know of a tree that needs to be taken care of? I actually, with cleaning up my lot, found that there's a very large oak tree, and I don't know if it's part of the parkway or not, and it's split, and I'm worried about it. So who do we contact about possible
Okay.
damages?
Okay, so the question is, who does she contact if there is a tree that's in question as to whose tree it is? Whether it's a part, I'm gonna assume you mean the association?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would have to contact the association office, leave a name. Would that be correct, Greg? Leave a name and a section and a lot, and we will have somebody go out and look into that situation.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions, actually. The common, I guess that's called the tree that belongs to Woodhaven.
Common ground?
Yeah, the common
Okay.
ground tree fell onto our lot, several of them.
Uh-huh.
Now, I hired a tree service. They're willing to come out and clean that area, but they don't have any place to dump the wood. Where do they dump the wood?
Okay. Greg, do you want to speak to that, please? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I kind of skipped that part of it, didn't I? Her question was, there were several trees that fell from either common ground or neighboring lot onto hers. Her tree contractor said he'll come up and cut it all up, but what does she do with that wood afterwards? And so Greg is going to address that.
Okay, when we finally open the property up to contractors, again, the tub grinder will play a role. We will work out with the property owners that are gonna have contractors do tree work. They'll be able to bring the debris up to the tub grinder, which will be located behind the store. If the tub grinder has to leave or it's broke down or something like that, you will be allowed to bring the brush back behind the maintenance shop where it will be disposed of down there. So the first thing would be the tub grinder. If that's not available, the second place will be down behind the maintenance shop, which is located just east of the service center area. But what you will need to do, and this is critical, is that will need to be coordinated. So what you'll do is you'll call the administration office, tell them your situation, they'll put you through to me. If I don't answer, please leave a message, I'll get back to you, but we'll need to coordinate that. I'll need to know who the contractor is, how much debris is coming in, and there will be requirements if it's going to the tub grinder, what it has to be cut to. It's got to be 10 length maximum, 10-foot length maximum.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm in section 13 and obviously have a lot of trees down on my property. I'm also adjacent to a common ground. And basically the trees on the east side of my property are the trees that fell from the common ground.
Okay.
Who's responsible for those?
That's why I have him up here, he's a lot bigger than me. What was the question?
The question was, basically, this individual has a number of trees from the common area that fell onto his lot. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you were asking whose responsibility is it? Here comes tree law at its best. Act of nature. Now, Jeff used act of God. In the politically correct world, it's act of nature nowadays. Wherever that tree lands, it's that individual's responsibility. Similar to if your trees would have fell on the common area, they'd be our responsibility. This is what municipalities use, and it boils down to you can't control what that tree is going to do. Mother Nature can. She can put it wherever she wants. It's no different. For example, you're responsible for shed repairs or whatever because you can see the problem and you can fix it. With a tree, you get a storm like this, you don't know what the heck's going to happen. So it's act of nature. So wherever it lands, it's that individual's responsibility. If there's a branch, for example, hanging over your lot, it doesn't matter where the tree is, it's where that branch is at. If it's over your lot, it's up to you to take care of. It doesn't matter if it comes from the neighbor's lot or the common area. Similar to if that situation was reversed and that limb was hanging over, say, a copper station from your lot, we would have to take care of it. Does that answer your question? Okay.
You may want to stay for mine, but it's similar. Our neighbor's tree goes over both of ours. It's at risk of falling and damaging our property. It's also at risk of damaging their property.
Okay.
So we don't want to do anything to possibly damage their property, but we obviously want to do something to try to
protect your own
But the
property.
tree is on
Their
mainly on
property.
their property.
And so, Greg, if I'm to understand this, the question was, the neighbors, the tree that was located on the neighbor's lot fell over and is precariously on her property and theirs.
It hasn't fully fallen
It
yet.
hasn't fully fallen, but they want to remove that portion that's on their lot to prevent it from harming their property, but they're concerned that if they take what's off of theirs, it might compromise for the neighbor. Is that correct? I would assume it's the same. You need to take down to protect your property, and they need to. It'd be best if you could coordinate it, but I certainly understand. Okay. We have been, what we have been doing in the office is if you come up, give us your phone number, we will call them and ask them to call you back, if you'd like to do that. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My question is not about trees, but an actual, are you guys gonna make a list of vendors that are gonna help us remove the stuff? In other words, I already went to Allstate and was told my trailer is totaled, and we're just gonna cut you a check, and you are responsible, me.
Yes.
For getting rid of it. I have a 32-foot trailer, how do I get rid of it?
And we are working on that plan because we know that the most prominent issue was with the trees, but sorry. The question, thank you for the reminder, I need reminders. His question had to do more with the trailers. We're dealing with the trees, but we know there's a lot of trailers out there. His insurance company's cutting him a check and telling him, deal with it. And so we are currently in the process of trying to find a remedy here on where you can take it or what we can do with it. That plan has not been completed. Again, what you want to do is keep looking at our Facebook or check in with the association office. We will post directions as soon as we get them in dealing with the hard items, the electronics, which you can't put in the dumpsters, the metal, the frames. 32-foot trailer, understood.
I have another question. Now, my neighbor's here, and she wants to utilize my tree service. Now, can he work on her property and also on my property?
That's between the two of you.
I mean, does he need some type of permit?
Oh, I see, yes, he does, absolutely. One of the other resources that came into us was sorry. She asked her if the contractor she brought in as her guest.
Right.
Because he was only gonna work with her. If he starts working on other properties, he needs to be, here's another term, vetted with our ESAC department. And one of those resources we have come to us was the Attorney General's office. We learned a lot. And one of the things that we are working on right now, we'll start this plan this week, is getting additional contractors registered with the association. And so what I would ask of you, because it could be a valuable resource for us, if you could make your way to the association office, to the ESAC department, and give us your contractor's information. And we'll contact that contractor, because I have heard that the contractors that normally help you out here, they're booked. And so we know we've got to get other contractors in here, but we want to do it safely. We don't want just somebody coming in and saying, I can run a chainsaw when they can't. So we're going to make sure we take all the precautions to get this done properly.
Hi. Yeah.
I just wanted to add to that, I've been experiencing it since the day after the tornado hit. I just want everybody to just be cautious. We're starting to get the predators and vultures coming, and they're wanting to take advantage of people in a vulnerable time. And I don't know if you started to notice the signs out along Tower Road. Just be very, very careful. If it sounds too good to be true, guess what? It is. Now, I've already experienced 2 calls from Texas, a call from Florida, 2 calls from New York. These guys call, they make it sound like I'm a long-lost relative to get in contact with me. Then once they get my number, now they're calling me and saying, we're going to send an agent up to evaluate your damage, and unless you let us know, we're going to come in and get started. So just be very, very careful when these people try to contact you.
And as you know, if they don't have a pass of some sort, they're not getting through the gate. Okay.
So my place is totaled. Will my dues go down since I'm not using sewer and water?
He's asking the question, and although we're chuckling, I don't think he meant it as a joke. And it's a very, very reasonable question, and I can tell you no. We cannot treat you any differently than the rest of the campground. We are going to work with you as best we can, but you will not be treated any differently.
Hello, my question is along the lines of that lady that came before. If I have my own grinders, my own stump shredders and all that stuff, am I able to bring them with me and do it instead of hiring a subcontractor?
Okay, I believe the question is he wants to do his own tree removal on your property, and you want to know if you can bring equipment on. And I think it's going to depend greatly on what size of equipment you have coming in. As far as you doing your own work, of course, that's your prerogative.
It was more concerning the equipment that I have. You know, it's obviously everybody out there is using the chainsaws and all that, but I do have the stump grinders and the shredders, and you know.
Okay, and so what is going to happen here, because we want to be very careful, we're probably going to ask you to come up to the office and give us a little more information because of what's going on to your lot. Something like that, we would probably look at it without knowing and say, you're contracting, you should have a contractor's license. So we'll probably have you come up to the ESAC office and have a conversation with them to let them know what your intentions are. Okay?
Thank you. Having a tree uprooted affected the electrical box itself. Where it normally was, it's probably about 3 feet from there. Obviously, I could contact ComEd, but until we get power restored to Woodhaven, what would be the best procedure?
I'm going to ask Doug to answer that as an electrician. The question was, he has had damage to his pedestal, and he wants to know how this is going to work out and who's going to be responsible.
Okay, the electrical pedestal out here is actually owned by the lot owner, by the property owner. So the only problem with that ownership of that pedestal is you own it with your neighbor. Most of the lots, you'll find the pedestal is between two lots. You have one meter on one side of the pedestal and one on the other. You guys own that together. So you and your neighbor need to get together and split the cost, or sometimes if you don't have a neighbor that wants to go along with that, you'll have to put the cost yourself. But it's up to you to replace that. ComEd owns the wire to it. Now out here in this grid work, trying to get this grid work all fired up out here and getting some of the non-affected people running and operating, they've had to go back to a secondary box and disconnect your electric pedestal to do that. So now you need to get a contractor in there when they allow contractors to come in to go in there, check your pedestal out and replace it, whatever needs to be fixed on it. And then you guys need to coordinate that with Commonwealth Edison to get that re-energized.
Okay, so we're basically waiting for you to let us know when the grid's going to be open so we can then get them out.
Yes, most of the grid work out here has been powered up with the exception of 22, 23, and 25. And we're going to try to be working on that this week. Am I right, Karen?
Yes, and he's given the strange look. I assume you're outside of those areas and you don't have power. You're in 20. I have been hearing of sporadic outages on properties. You're going to have to probably get a hold of ComEd and let them know, because that's not one of the areas I don't think that's...
No, that should have power.
That should have power. Check your box, make sure that your breaker's on. Okay?
Okay, thank you. I have a problem with water. Somehow, they had a leak, and they dug up my driveway and found the Buffalo box and shut it down. Now, who's going to find out where the leak is, and what are they going to do about it?
Okay, the question was, and we've had a couple of issues where we've had hydrant leaks, severe hydrant leaks, and the hydrant is your responsibility. It was a main?
It was the main, because they went down and shut it off someplace.
Oh, well, okay, some lots we did have to put shut-offs on because we don't have the time or the resources to get to get the break fixed. So they went in and put shut-offs in.
Oh, there's a Buffalo box there.
Right.
Now, where the leak is, I have no idea.
And they don't either.
But I have no water.
I understand, and you've got an option, but they're limited. Our utility department does do those repairs, but they're not in a position to do those repairs right now. We will not let water just continue to flow. We will shut it off. I can't tell you when we could get to that to fix it. If you want us to fix it, you can have a contractor look at it.
I don't know if it's mine.
Okay, here's what I ask that. Well, a lot of unique situations, and what I'm going to ask you to do is go to the office. We've got several lists started. Let them know who you are, where you are, and what the situation is, and we'll have somebody come out and assess whose it is and what it is. Is that a deal? Thank you. Okay, I understand. Thank you. Go to the office and let them know.
Mine's more of a comment about the storm chasers that are coming through the signs on the side of the road. I am a contractor from Aurora, Illinois, and we have dealt with these guys in the past. They are here today, gone tomorrow. They do no justice for anybody out here. Your insurance companies will even tell you don't use them. Use local contractors. Now, it may be a while till you can get a local contractor in the area because of the devastation that's here. But do yourselves a favor and don't use these storm chasers. Again, they're going to come through, they're going to overcharge, they're going to leave, and you're going to be stuck with the issues. You're never going to get them back in here. So all those signs that you see, free roof, free siding, free gutters, nothing's ever free. Nothing's ever free. And if you need help, I'll volunteer. My lot, I'm over on 24-9, and anybody that needs a hand, I'll be more than willing to help out and do what we can. So just give me a holler, catch me before we leave. I'll be more than willing to help out. So.
Okay, I just want to clarify. I know we've had a lot of property owners who said, let us know how we can help. We haven't gotten to that point yet. And I agree with what he's saying, but we're going to go ahead and register those contractors according to the outline that we've been given from the Attorney General's office. And it will be up to you to determine if you are in sync with that contractor or not.
I'm again concerned with ComEd. I have a metal roof on my trailer. It fell over onto the service in 23. The service grid is down. If they activate that thing, my entire trailer is going to be electric. I mean, I'm afraid somebody's actually going to go under and electrocute themselves. How do I get my service cut off if they reactivate the grid in 23?
And that's a good one, and I'm going to have Doug help with this question. The question was his metal trailer is on his box. When they re-energize the area, there's a potential there that something's going to happen. And we do have a game plan here. I'll let Doug kind of field this.
What section are you in?
23.
Okay, you're in one of the heavily affected areas. What they're going to do is this week is they're going to go through every lot, look at them pedestals. They're not going to spend a lot of time on them pedestals. They're going to look at them, and if they think that there's a problem with it, they're going to go back to the secondary box and disconnect your pedestal to get the rest of the section going. So if they see that looks good, they're going to go ahead and turn the power on. That's when we like to be here at the fire department for fires and what have you, safety reasons. We've done that all week. been working hand in hand with ComEd and Greg for trees, for getting to them secondary boxes. That's all I can tell you right now.
Okay.
For those who've had their trailer demolished beyond repair, are they allowed to bring in a secondary trailer, like a smaller trailer, just so they can be on the lot and function while they work on this?
We are making exceptions for extenuating circumstances, and you'll need to go to the ESAC department. We'll set you up with a secondary permit for an RV. We understand, and the board has been with you the whole time. They're not here today because we have them working out at the family center, getting people on the buses. They were here yesterday, but they've done a great job in trying to get, emergency rules passed, and so we'll work with you.
I'm just wondering, is there going to be a time frame that you want people to have their lots cleaned up by? Because we have so many, like everyone has so many trees down on our lot, but they're also on our neighbors. We haven't seen our neighbors in years, so.
Okay, so the question is, are we going to make you have everything cleaned up in 30 days? No.
No way.
No.
What about trees that are starting to uproot?
And therein lies part of just some of the safety hazards that we're faced with. I'll let Greg respond to that. I don't know that there's a whole lot that can be said to it, but I'm going to let him respond.
This is one of the things that is going to be a problem for a while, just because of the severity and the widespread damage that we've got. I've already had several calls that, this tree is splitting and it's continuing to get worse. It's going to fall, and I'm afraid it's going to land on my trailer. Right now, the bottom line is there's nothing that can be done because of the situation that we're in. When we get everything open, when we get everything cleared, everything starts to run, everybody can access their lots, we start spreading out and going to other issues that we have to deal with. That's one that we'll start to look at. We'll get the resource request, we'll go out and evaluate the trees, we'll determine if it's our responsibility or the lot owner's responsibility. We'll assess it, but as of right now, today, there's really nothing that can be done if there is a hazardous issue. And it's a frustrating thing, but unfortunately, it's just a circumstance as of right now. But we will, after next week, start to move forward in addressing those.
As Mr. Lally said earlier, these are unprecedented times for us, and we're feeling our way through it just as you are.
I have two questions. One would contractors be allowed back in? And two, I have, there's property owners that never come out here, and they got all kinds of trees down and whatnot. Are they going to be forced to do anything with that? Or will they do that and build?
Okay, with regards to the first, when are we going to allow contractors back on? We will be working on a plan to get contractors back here. Right now, it's not scheduled for this week. If there is a change to that, we will be posting it on our Facebook page. We just don't have enough information as to what's going on in those restricted areas. But it's got to be a collective decision. We've got to make sure that everybody is safe, not just the ones in the restricted areas, but the ones that are in the other parts of the community. Right now the game plan is we'll be closed to contractors this week, but if that changes, we'll post it on Facebook. The other part of the question was what happens with the neighboring lot owner who has never been here and their trees are down. I don't have a definitive answer for you at this time. The one thing I want you to understand is that trees that are down are not necessarily a violation. We recognize, though, again, this is unprecedented and it could have a significant impact. The board will be reviewing all of these issues. And if the association has to take those trees off, okay, but understand you're going to be paying for that as an association. But that may have to be the way it is. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you at this time, and we probably won't have that one answered for a little while yet. Is it safe to say all of the questions are over?
No.
Okay, because I know this is going to sound strange, but I've got another meeting. And it's the one that hopefully will get some of these resolved.